honored to be here at this platform today. Normally, whenever you are invited, you go and talk. So I have an old-time song which I'm sharing, but I have changed the lyrics so that it suits the purpose and the for which we are all here. चला आता हूँ जहाँ पे मुझको सुना है कुछ चला आता हूँ जहाँ पे मुझको बुलाते एक्सपीरियंस शेयरिंग के लिए चला आता हूँ जहाँ पे मुझको बुलाते एक्सपीरियंस शेयरिंग के लिए लाइफ के फंडे हैं हजार समझना इनको मुश्किल है यार चला आता हूँ जहाँ पे मुझको बुलाते एक्सपीरियंस शेयरिंग के लिए. So as I mentioned in the beginning that I am a storyteller, so that's what my job is. I go and tell stories when I am wearing my corporate hat, and I share life stories, either of my personal life or whatever experiences that I've seen in my life when I am wearing the hat of a motivational speaker. So today I'm going to tell you a story of a boy. His name was Budia. Indian sa ajeeb sa naam hai. Honestly, I don't know what does that mean. But I was affected or very much related to this story, so hence sharing it for you. So Budia used to live around 180 miles from this place called Delhi. Delhi is the seat of power. Most influential people in the India, rather I would say, live in this city. So Budia, while Budia would live 180 miles from this place, this city was all very powerful. Now everything has their own challenges and everything has their own advantages. So while the most powerful and the influential people of the world live in this city cannot do anything about its pollution problems. All these powerful people are also very helpless about the kind of air that we breathe and the amount of jams that we face every day. Again, I'm not commenting on them, but I'm trying to bring a perspective that while all these powerful people cannot do much about what's happening in the life around them, there was this guy, Budia, coming from a very small town which we can classify as Tier 3 city town. What could he do? And Budia was a very, very normal child, very average child, nothing great guns happening in his life. The school where he studied, he was a very ordinary student. He would barely get marks so that he could pass and move on to the next class. If at all he moved to the next class, those days, the systems of auto upgradation that, you have been moved to a next class didn't existed. So then, he barely, because his parents also had no hope or not significant hope about him. So again, this guy was just passing his time. He had no idea what to do after his class 12th. He also had no idea about, he also belonged to a very middle class family. And in a typical middle class family, the thinkings are, study much about, focus on education. Education is your license to move up in life. Focus on savings. Those days, you used to have things like National Savings Certificate le lo, Kisan Vikas Patra le lo. If at all, the family was able to save some money. There was only one principal earner in the family who would earn, and they were all dependents. If at all you had your own house, you would live there, but still the major part of the earnings were going in EMIs of that house. So Budia came from this part of the setup, very middle class values. Bada sochna to kya, you could just only think about it. There was no way Budia would know that an opportunity like a anything like existed. Since he was not good in studies, people know that he can't become a doctor, engineer. He was not good in sports, so he didn't know that he could become a Milkha Singh either. He was average. And the problem of average is there are far too many, right? If you look at the middle class of India, it's like the fretboard on this guitar. So many, caste, religions, sects, middle income groups on which basis, the economy has been divided. So if I am a businessman, I'll enjoy this middle class because I can sell my products to them. If I'm a politician, I will enjoy this middle class because I can divide and rule. There are so many, they don't have their own ideology. Again, I'm not commenting on middle class, let me be very clear. But what I'm trying to say is, when you come from a background like this, the underlying score of your life is like this. Zindagi कैसी है पहेली हाय कभी ये हंसाए कभी ये रुलाए. So this was the basic score that was playing in the life of Buddha. He had no idea. Sometimes when you are physically challenged, or sometimes when you know there is the sympathy of the world is with you, you tend to find your own motivation, or you tend to find your own sweet spot. Yes, boss, at least the world acknowledges that I have a challenge, and therefore I am going to succeed, or rather I am going to make my effort of finding whatever the purpose of my life is. However, with Buddha this was not the case. He was extremely normal, physically healthy. The only thing was, the problem lied here in his head. Being an average child who had no idea, he was an introvert, he could not speak a sentence in English. His teachers had kind of written him off. What do a child like this do? He, somehow completed his graduation. On his friend's suggestion, he tried and enrolled for an MBA. Struggled in almost everything. Before even he did his graduation, he struggled with everything. He tried doing okay, fine. After class 12, a typical student would do what? Okay, engineer ban jate hain, doctor medicine kar lete hain. So he tried that, failed there. Changed track, said okay, fine, let's do chartered accountancy. Failed there as well. So he tried hands at everything. His family was supportive that ways, but he had no reason to succeed, because somewhere in the head there was the clutter. He had no idea where things are going wrong. And after a point in time, he also started questioning himself. Sometimes you only believe that I am thinking right, but when everything starts going wrong, when everything is like an untuned guitar, the melody which is not just working out, then what do? He was struggling and struggling to find a sweet spot, or rather I would say, let's say a C major chord in his life. He had no idea. Random beats he used to play in his life. Today I am an IAS officer, tomorrow I am this, tomorrow I am that. And as an MBA student, I am assuming you are most of you are MBA students, or some of you are at least. As a student, what are you here for? You are here, let's say, to find a job, to get placed, to get a good career, or move up in your life. But there are a lot of students who will also come and think that, yeah, hey, I have to join a family business. And there are a lot of you who would also think like, 2 states wala MBA karna hai. So my point is, whatever be your intent, the way and the reason why you are doing it has to be very clear. And that was not unfolding for Buddha. He passed many years, even after his class 12th, to figure out what he has to do. However, one of the good things that was happening in his life was, while he went through his own lows in his life, a script was being written for his life, and which was about that once he becomes something in life, once he becomes even reasonably successful in his life, he will go out and help people. That was like finding a first chord in his life, when he came to know that yes, he had no idea, he still is struggling, he's still trying to figure out what he wants to do in his life. When this song was written, or rather, when he found out that one day he will become something big, and that's when he'll try to help people. So somehow, let's say he did his graduation, and then, after graduation also, took an education loan, went and did MBA. Even after MBA, he was trying to figure out, where is that missing link? How will I help people? For example, he did not knew that a profession like counseling existed. Imagine an MBA student not knowing counseling is because he came from a small town. He did not know that something like counseling existed. So when after MBA he started his own venture, he said, okay, fine, I'll start helping people. He started doing some motivational talks, something randomly he started doing. People said, boss, who are you? Where have you done talks? You are just fresh out of college. You have no experience. How can you say that, you can help motivate people, or you can help, people who need support, either mental or coaching or direction? So like a novice coming out of the college, he was outrightly rejected. That's when this interesting song triggered his life. This is a famous poetry from Baba Bulle Shah. की जाना मैं हुई बाबा की जाना मैं हुई बाबा की जाना मैं कोई. So this guy was just out of college. He had no idea what to do. And the institutes or wherever he would go to the corporates and meet them, they would say, boss, what the hell do you know? You are just a fresh out of college. That day he took one decision, that I will return to you after a few years when I have become something, and you will be inviting me to come and speak. That day something triggered in him, something shook him internally so much that he took the resolve that yes, I am going to come back, or rather you are going to invite me few days after my life, once I have achieved. Because दुनिया में वही चीज समझ में आती है जो लोग देखते हैं. This guy still did not know what he will become. And that's how Budhia eventually morphed into Vineet Tandon. So what I was trying to tell you was my own story, that here is a guy who has been absolutely normal, who has been absolutely average. The world talk about big people. The world talk about people who have done exceptionally brilliant. But I'm not talking about anyone who has done brilliant. Not because I'm a great success story, but I can tell you a couple of things which you will not find in any of these books. And the first thing is, or rather a first chord that I would play in my life is rather an F major chord. And this chord is all about failure is the best sauce that you can ever have in your life. What does that mean? Failure is the best sauce that you can have in the dish of your life. When I'm using this, I mean that don't hesitate from failures. 100 times you do something, even if you fail, that's okay. It's your personal journey. Nobody is going to come you and pick you up wherever you have fallen down. Nobody is going to come and tell you, boss, you were going horribly wrong there. Come on, let me help you out. That's okay. So failure is the best sauce that you can ever have in your life. And if you are failing, believe me, something good is going to happen soon. You just have to stay the course. Second chord that he discovered in his life was a C major chord. Comparisons suck. Sorry for using that word, but actually I mean it. So for example, a C major chord will sound like this. It will not sound like an A minor chord. Each chord, each of you are individual licenses from the department of God. For God's sake, believe in yourself. Don't imagine that you are going to sound like somebody else. You will only sound what you are. You only have to figure that out. You only have to work that out. The day you have figured it out, believe me, people will clap on your whatever chord you may be playing, if it's F major, sharp or whatever. This is just a language of music. There may be actually no guitar or no chord in your life. So the second important thing that I want to tell you was, comparisons suck. Don't get into that business. It is not your family or your parent or your children's business to tell you what you should be doing. It is your business, and eventually only you have to figure it out. Third important chord which I want to again tell you is, this is a B chord, and what it means is, If life pushes you hard enough, if life sometimes knocks you down, it happens. As Buddhas has seen it, or rather I have seen it over the couple of years in my journey. We all face challenges, we all face setbacks, but that's okay. Every time you fall, you have to make sure that you have to get up. That's okay. It doesn't need an invitation. It doesn't need a motivational speaker to come and tell you that, hey boss, you are falling on the ground, why don't you stand up? Whenever you fall down, you just have to stand up. Just like a small child, whenever he falls, either his mother or father would rush to pick him up. But after a time, he picks him up and runs on his own. So that's what life is all about. You don't have to necessarily worry about the fact that somebody is going to come and pick you up. And the last quote that I would want to leave you today with is, don't give a fuck to people who doesn't care. I am not sounding the complete word, you know what I'm saying. There is a famous book, I have been, I read it twice, Mark Manson, I guess. So, things which do not deserve your fuck, don't give it. We unnecessarily crib about so many things that are happening in our lives. Don't give it, not really. Is it worth your time and effort? If something is really not worth your time and effort, why do we give a shit? That's okay, right? And even after, if everything is not good, fine. That's okay. In the long run, we are all dead, right? 60 years, I'm gone. 40 years back, I was not there. 100 is the average lifespan, which I'm again saying it's pretty long. I would like to conclude with a beautiful शेर. मुझे मालूम नहीं है किसका है, so apologies for that. But साहिल पे बैठे हुए अक्सर ये सोचते हैं, साहिल पे बैठे हुए अक्सर ये सोचते हैं कि आज कौन ज़्यादा मजबूर है, वो किनारा जो चल के कहीं जा नहीं सकता, वो किनारा जो चल के कहीं जा नहीं सकता, या वो लहरें जो थम के रह नहीं सकती. Thank you so very much.